For today's video, I'm going to be using acrylic yarn by Impeccable, and this is called Citron. I'm also going to be using a 5mm, some scissors, and some stitch markers. I'm also going to be using a little bit of white, black, and pink. I'm going to begin by making a magic ring, and making a magic ring is super simple. You're going to put your hand in an L shape, and then you're going to grab the yarn in the bottom, yarn over, and make an X, and then you're going to flip, and you're going to see two lines. After you see the two lines, you're going to go underneath, grab the top, and twist. After you twist, you can let go and hold the yarn so it's in place, and then you're going to chain two, 1 and 2. After this, we're going to make 12 double crochets, but this chain 2 doesn't count. To make a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, go inside the loop, grab the yarn, pull once and pull twice. Yarn over, go inside the loop, grab the yarn, pull once and twice, and then I'm going to do this 10 more times and come back. After you finish your 12 double crochets, you're going to close off the magic ring, and you're just going to pull in the back, and then you're just going to make a knot. After you make your knots, I like to fully close this off so I don't have to worry about it at the end. I'm just going to go through the opposite side, and then I'm going to untwist the yarn and split it until I have two strands. One is going to go underneath, and then the other one is going to stay in the top, and then you're just going to tie it off again. After you're done, you just cut it, and now we're going to start row 2. To start row 2, we're going to go in the top of the first chain 2 that we did, and then we're going to chain 2 again, 1 and 2. And this row, we're going to increase in every single stitch, which means we're going to be making 2 double crochets in every single stitch. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, all in the same stitch. And then for the next stitch, again, you're going to make 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Once you finish your increases, you're going to start row 3. To finish the row, you're going to go to your first stitch, slip stitch, and then chain 2 again. For row 3, I'm going to increase every other stitch. So I'm going to start by making 1 double crochet first, and then in the second stitch, I'm going to make 2 in the same spot. For the third stitch, I'm only going to make 1, and then I'm going to make 2 stitches. For row 3, continue increasing every other stitch until you finish the row. For row 4, I'm going to chain 2, and we're going to increase every 2 stitches. So I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the first 2, and then on the third stitch, I'm going to make 2 in the same stitch. Continue this pattern for the rest of row 4, and then I'll come back for row 5. For row 5, I already chained 2, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. After you make your 3 double crochets, you're going to make 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and you're going to continue this pattern of increasing every 3 stitches until you finish the round. For row 6, I already did my chain 2, and this is going to be our last increasing row. Then for row 7 through 12 is just going to be regular rounds of double crochets. So for our last row, we're going to increase every 9 stitches. So I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the next 9 stitches, and then on the 10th one, I'm going to make 2 in the same stitch. I'm on my 10th stitch, so I'm going to make 2 double crochets in the same spot, and then you're just going to continue this pattern of increasing every 9 stitches until you finish the row, and then I'll come back once I finish my 12 rows. And after you finish your 12 rows, you're going to mark the width of your face and also the width of your ears. For me, I did 20 stitches in the face and 10 on the sides. Now we're going to make the ear flaps. I did one of the ear flaps first just because when I do the second one, I like to make a round of single crochets, and it's just easier to do that when I have one of the ear flaps done. For the ear flaps, I'm doing 10 stitches, and that's perfect for me, and it's also like the perfect amount of stitches for the triangle part. You're going to start off by putting the yarn in and making 2 knots, and then you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. After you chain 2, you're going to make 10 double crochets. While you're making double crochets, you can also crochet over the tail, and that way you don't have to weave it in later. After you finish your 10 double crochets, you're going to chain 2 and flip your work. For this row, we're not going to decrease just yet, so it's just going to be a regular row of double crochets. After you finish your 2 rows of double crochets, row 3 through 6, we're going to be decreasing in the beginning and at the end. So you're going to chain 2 and you're going to make a double crochet in the first stitch, but you're only going to go through it once and not twice. You're going to yarn over, go inside, pull once, and then pull twice. And then you're going to make regular double crochets until you reach the last 2 stitches. I am at my last 2 stitches, so I'm going to decrease again, make a double crochet and only go through it once, yarn over, go inside, pull once, and then pull twice. For our 4th row, we're going to do the same thing. Yarn over, go inside, pull once, yarn over, go inside, pull once, and then twice, and then decrease again at the last 2 stitches. And my last 2 stitches, so I'm going to decrease again. You make a double crochet but don't fully close it, make a double crochet again, pull once, and then pull twice. I'm going to make 2 more rows and then come back. After you finish your 6 rows, you're going to have 2 stitches left, and we're going to make 4 single crochets in this spot. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to start a single crochet round, and usually I just go to the next stitch, slip stitch, chain 1, and then just continue making single crochets. I've done this a couple times, so I don't really need a stitch marker to know where to stop, but if you're a beginner or sometimes you forget, you just put a stitch marker right here, and then you're just going to make a single crochet round in every spot that you can see. After you finish this, you can leave it as is, but personally I want to make another single crochet round, and it's going to be with the color black. Once I finish that, I'll be back. I'm back with my 2 single crochet rounds. I did a green one and a black one, and I also did one of the braids. To do the braids, you're going to cut 40 strands of 35 inches. So I did 10 green and 10 black. You can make the braid more thicker by adding more, or you can make it thinner by adding less. To do the braid, you're going to find the middle and you're going to go under it and scoop it like this, and then you're going to select the color that you want on top to be first, and then the other one will be placed after. I want the black one to be there first, so I'm just going to try to pull all this yarn through. If it doesn't work, you can always use a bigger hook size for this part. After you pull through, make sure it's aligned, and you're also going to add the second color right in the same spot and make sure it's aligned like the other one. After you place them, make sure they're aligned properly, and you're just going to start by twisting the black one first, and then you're going to take the green one and go over and do the same on the other side. Personally, I think this braid is easier than the 3-strand one. You're going to go over and hold in the middle, over and hold in the middle. I'm going to do this a couple more times, and then I'll show you how to tie it off. I'm at the end, and I braided 20 times and it matches the other side. So I'm going to take the longest strand and I'm going to wrap around twice. So I'm just going to hold here at the bottom, and then I'm going to go underneath down here. It's a little bit hard to see because I have nails, but I'm just going to loop it through over here. And then I'm just going to do that one more time. I'm going to go around and then loop through the bottom. After you wrap around it twice and you tie it off, you're going to go to the back. You're going to shove your hook underneath, and then you're going to loop it through here just to make it a little bit more secure. And now you can just fully pull it off, and you can leave this as is, but I'm just going to cut it about 1 inch. Most of my body parts are already done, and that's because it's really self-explanatory and really easy to do. So for the antennas, I did a chain length of 13 and I did 2 single crochet rows. And then for the eyes, I wasn't planning on using beads, but I didn't like how it looked by making a little circle with yarn. I just thought it was a little bit too bulky for my liking, so I decided to use beads instead, and you can find these beads in the description as well. I did the first 3 rows that we did in the beginning, but in the last row I actually did single crochets instead of double crochets, but I still followed the pattern from earlier. And then for the tongue, I just made a chain length of 5 and I did 7 rows. and then I put yarn in the middle to make that little line that the tongue has. And all I have left to do is the nose, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. To make the nose, I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm just going to chain 6. 1, 2. Now I'm going to make single crochets until I reach the end. Now that I'm at the end, I'm going to make 5 more single crochets all in the same spot. I'm going to crochet over the tail and work my way up. I'm in the last stitch, so I'm going to make 4 single crochets. And now you're free to cut it off. Before we start attaching our body parts, I'm going to make the line in the middle that Ger has. So to do this, I'm just going to fold this and make sure I'm aligned perfectly. And then you just go through the black row and pull all the yarn through. And then you're just going to flatten it out. You can make the length of the line as long or as short as you want. I'm just going to be going every 2 rows. So 1, 2, and then I'm just going to go in between the front loops of the stitch. And I'm not going to go fully through. Skip 2 rows and then go through the front loops, and you're not going to go underneath. You can continue this to the back, but I'm just going to finish it off and go through the top. And then I'm going to go through the top of the stitches and the back and then tie it off. This is now what the front looks like, and this is what the back looks like. You can't see it on either side, and now we can start attaching our body parts. This is the placement I decided on doing, and I just checked my reference pic and I noticed that it has a triangle nose instead of an oval. So what I did is I'm just going to fold it and use it regardless. And the tongue, you can literally put it anywhere. You can put it in the middle, wherever side you want, but I kind of like how it looks like on the side. I'm placing the tongue about 3 rows, so 1, 2, 3. This is where I'm placing my tongue. I'm placing the nose on the 4th row, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, right on the middle. And then the eyes, it's going to be lined up with a nose and about 2 fingers in between, so that's like an inch. And then I'm putting the antennas on the 3rd row. I'm going to start off by sewing the nose just because this is going to be my guide point for mostly everything. So I'm just going to go in the back, make sure you go through both sides. And then you're just going to go in and out, but make sure you're going through both loops on the top. And make sure you're going all the way in the bottom as well. We're going to sew everything else pretty much just like this, except the antennas. The antennas are going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to come back and show you how to do those. In order to make your eyes super flat, you're going to go in and out of every single stitch. And then for the tongue, I switched it to the other side just because I like how this side looks much more better than the other one. And I also fully sewed it down. But you can also just sew it on the top so it flaps around, and all we have to do is just attach the other antenna and then we're done. The thickness of this is the same thickness as one of the rows, so this is going to take up the entire section of that row. So I want mine to be on the 3rd row, so I'm going to put my needle through the 2nd one, and I'm going to make sure that this is flat just so that it lays out exactly like the other one. I'm just going to go 1 more stitch. After you go through the top, you're going to go through the bottom of this and make sure it's looped well. And then you're just going to align it the best that you can and also keeping it flat. Then you're going to go through and make sure that you don't take any other stitch with you on the way. After you pull this all the way down, you're going to repeat this until you reach the other side of the row. And then I'm going to do this 1 more time, and I'm going to go through the whole of the 3rd row. So I'm just finishing up, and I'm going to do this 1 more time just so it's more secure and also to end up where I started. I know this is a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to split the yarn over here and go through the bottom and poke through. Now this is a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to go through this stitch, and then I'm going to poke through the bottom and go through it. I'm almost done. I have to do this about 2 more times, and then I can just fully tie it off. This is my last time going through, and it's all in the same row, and it's not overlapping anything else or going through anything else as well. This is what it looks like, and now we're done. This is the final result, and I'm so happy with how it came out. I've been planning this for such a long time, and I love this shade of green. I can't wait for you guys to make it, and I'll see you guys next week.